I chose a little different environment today to put together a YouTube video. I make most of my videos from my shop, which everybody who's subscribed and follows my channel, they already know that. But it is the 21st of May, and here in central Pennsylvania today, it is supposed to get to 93 degrees. So my shop is actually pretty warm, and I really have to have a bunch of traps that need to get cleaned. I really got to get at them because I hate working in there when it's so hot. But it's a beautiful day to be outside. I figured I'd come down to our campsite area. My family and I were trout fishing this morning and did pretty well. It's a nice day in central Pennsylvania. Just not a real nice day to be in my shop. But today I wanted to talk to you about something I came up with. I'm not saying I invented it. In fact, I originally got the idea from a man by the name of John Hummel in Millmont, Pennsylvania. He was a Pennsylvania Trappers Association District 7 member. He was a director for quite a few years. He's in the PTA Hall of Fame, did a lot for the PTA, and he was just the type of guy that lived and breathed trapping, and he was a multi-species expert. Trapped South Carolina, caught piles of otter down there, was an excellent mink trapper, excellent fox trapper. I just can't say enough about him. But he had shown in a demo, or showed me personally one time, it was so long ago I don't even remember, the way he trapped mink. He would use a length of cable, and he would use that cable to kind of cinch off the rocks, just similar to a snare. But what John used was a tree lock. I believe it was a Thompson's tree lock. It was the real small one, and that way he could just put the ferrule end through and cinch it tight. Now John would put a little bit of a bend on that tree lock, and he told me that made it lock up better. I have a few of them. I did play around with them, and like I said, this system is in its infancy, but I think it has a lot of potential, and I might go to using the system that that John showed me with the tree lock, with the slight bend to make it lock a little better. But basically, all this really is using this piece of snare cable to attach to a rock. Now John, especially if you're trapping just making muskrat, it's not a big deal. But Raccoon give me fits. They really do. I keep increasing my weight, and it's just, they just show up at the most inopportune moments. I caught 70 raccoons last year, fox trapping and mink trapping, and did not set a single coon trap. Now, some areas of the country in western Pennsylvania, 70 raccoons probably sounds like hardly nothing. That's a day's catch in some places. But in eastern Pennsylvania, 70 raccoons without trying to catch one, that's a lot. And that just goes to show you what our raccoon population is like. So I always have raccoons in the back of my mind when I set a mink trap. So what I came up with was really John's idea, but I doubled it. I just used what I had laying around the shop. This is 3/32 7x7 cable. Any cable will work. It does not matter what cable you choose. Really super stiff cable might be a bit more of a pain, but you could use really light cable, even 1/16 for doing this. And I just used locks that I had laying around. These are slim locks. They lock really tight. Here in Pennsylvania, we used to use, we'd be able to use really most any lock for beaver trapping, but now we have to use the same types of locks that are used in cable restraint. So I had all these slim locks left over, so they worked, you know, they weren't really good just for this. And it doesn't need to be brand new cable. It can be the cheapest Chinese junk cable you can find, because these are going to get kinked up terribly. And in fact, you know, really you could attach them to a rock and stash the rock somewhere at your set location. There's no need to unhook these and bring them home every year. They're gonna last you quite a few seasons. But this is just a way to set up a new area of your line for mink or even raccoons with a heavier, you know, rock for a drag, and don't have to deal with taking weights or drags or anything like that. You can just take these lightweight cables and use big rocks. Now, I live in an area where rocks are a cheap commodity. They're everywhere, and we have these lots of square rocks, lots of flat rocks. So, you know, I told a friend of mine a while back, you know, he's out in Michigan, but I said in Pennsylvania, you live and die by the rock, you know. Most of my water sets are something to do with using rocks. Everybody knows I make that stacked rock set. So yeah, if you're in eastern North Carolina, where the only rock you're ever going to find is a piece of riprap that the highway put there, this might not be the best setup. But here in eastern Pennsylvania and most of Pennsylvania, a lot of places in the Northeast, rocks are not hard to find. But you just simply add one snare, like so, pull it good and tight. Add the second one, pull it good and tight. And now that is good and tight right now. Now, the real secret to this setup, I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but I use about 6 foot of cable. For like a rock that size, that'll give you that much tagging. The real secret to this setup is to use a universal swivel on your cable. And what this does is, if you have an oblong or odd shaped rock where one side's a lot thicker than the other, this centers the weight so that you have equal pressure on both of those snare loops. You have equal pressure on there. You know, like I said, if this rock was thicker on the one end, and it would equal out. So I use, here's my famous #2 Victor with a mink pan, and I think I have about 4 foot of chain on these, and Bob Best toggle. Bob Best was another hero of mine. He recently passed away, but all of my mink traps have these. So you just put the toggle through that universal swivel, and as you can see, that centers itself on that rock. Throw that out in deep water, set your trap, make your set. Like I said, when you come back, you can pull that toggle out of that universal swivel, stash that rock up under. I usually like to pick a big tree in the area or just somewhere I remember, stash that rock, and next year you can come back and it's right ready to go. You know, like I said, I just used what I had available. I had these slim locks and whatnot. If you were making these up, you could try to make them with, like I said, the tree locks, the small tree locks like John Homo used. But I really don't see much of a difference. They might lay flatter in your vehicle. You could lay them out all long, you know, lengthwise, and you could keep a lot more of them in your vehicle without tangling. But other than that, that setup really works really good. So yeah, I might make another video here yet. I won't post them both at the same time, but thanks for watching. Give me a like, Give me a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and happy trapping.